It's one of the food world's most well-known slogans.
Melts in your mouth, not in your hand.
From American classics like M&M's.
There's no colorful candy more classic than a jelly bean. And when you're craving a bean with some of the truest taste and far-out flavors, nothing is more iconic than a dimple-shaped Jelly Belly.
To making the perfect ice cream cone.
Everybody loves the treat with the pearl on top.
Would you believe Dairy Queen workers actually have to go to school to learn how to put that famous twist on top of their frozen treats?
There's a good chance Endress+Hauser equipment was involved in creating those sweet treats. The company has strong roots in central Indiana. Learn more about Endress+Hauser, how its products impact your life, expansion plans in Johnson County, and what's next. Hello and welcome to the Business and Beyond podcast presented by PNC. I'm Gary Dick. Endress+Hauser is one of the largest instrument manufacturers in the United States. The company providing systems to make sure level flow and pressure is on target for not only the food industry, but also the chemical, life sciences, and power sectors. Endress+Hauser has a big and growing footprint in Greenwood. And it gives me a great deal of pleasure to welcome to the podcast this week Todd Lucey, the general manager at Endress+Hauser USA headquarters in Greenwood, just south of Indianapolis, also corporate sales director in North America for the company. Todd, how are you?
Hey, very good, Gary. Good afternoon.
Hey, Endress+Hauser is a real success story on a global basis, but obviously we want to focus in here on the Indiana presence, which is substantial and continues to grow. Again, global company based in Switzerland, I believe, 16,000 employees globally, 100 locations, including this major operation in Greenwood. Todd, give us a thumbnail description of Endress+Hauser, especially your Indiana operations.
Yeah, so as you said, we're headquartered just outside of Basel, Switzerland, a small town called Rheinach, Switzerland. So we are about $4 billion US dollar organization, net sales this past year. And as you mentioned, 16,000 employees. Here in the US organization, between all of our E&H sales resources and production resources, we've got about 2,000 people here in the United States. And I would say what makes this unique for Endress+Hauser, even in the Endress+Hauser world, this is a campus. So we have our sales service support organization here, as well as all of our production. Anywhere between 85 to 90% of everything we sell is manufactured in the United States. Most of it here out of the Greenwood location. And then we have some manufacturing in California and in Ann Arbor, Michigan as well. So it's been, you and I were talking briefly just a little bit, but I joined the company in 1993. And when I first got here, we were basically one small building. And today, I think we have 6 different buildings and building a 7th is under construction right now.
That is a substantial presence here in central Indiana. You are one of the largest instrument manufacturers in the nation. Talk about the instruments, the sectors of the economy that you really sell to.
Yeah. So Endress+Hauser, what we do is we do process instrumentation, process measurement, and automation. Simply put, we make level devices. So measuring level in a tank, we measure flow meters, so flow in a pipe. We do analytical measurement. We do pressure and temperature, gas analytical measurements. So pretty much any physical measurement that a process facility would be trying to work to make their processes controllable, to produce an output. So most of our customers are customers that the consumer would see and know. Our biggest markets we serve, the top 3 are chemical industry, oil and gas industry, and food and beverage. And then we also do next water, wastewater, life sciences. And then the last 2 in terms of size is power and mining and metals. So those are our 7 core industries, we call them. And of course, we do a lot now in what we call emerging markets, which are basically all of the things that as we see the world changing, no doubt when we look at alternative energy sources, when we look at sustainability, efforts that are going on, we do hydrogen applications, we do carbon capture applications, semiconductor, electric vehicles, so battery applications, data centers for AI computing power, LNG, which is liquefied natural gas, especially trying to have the U.S. be energy independent, but also be a net exporter. So any of those applications and processes, we measure devices like that.
You mentioned artificial intelligence. How is AI impacting your business?
Yeah, I'll tell you, it's very interesting. I would say almost all of our customers have some amount of proof of concept or pilot programs that they're running. I think everybody's probably in the same position where they see opportunity. I think we can all see possibilities for what the technology can bring. I think everybody's trying to find some use cases, things that really matter to make a difference. We see it in things as simple as being able to get technical information readily available for any support resources, as an example, that they can have an AI assistant with them. And as they're on the phone with the customer, we can even be, working or recording the call from the customer. And AI would pop up to give some recommended answers to questions. So that's, let's say, on a very simple level, all the way to using AI to really work with the customer in their process improvement. We're working with a company called AI Ops that does AI in being able to look at the process measurement, and instead of just doing simple PID control, can actually use AI to augment the control, which actually brings into process tighter control limits and things like that. So I think the opportunity's out there. I think we're trying to all figure out how to harness it the right way.
Yeah, you mentioned your customer base. You've got a broad industry base that you serve. How is business, and what really drives your business? Is it cyclical at all based on the economy? What kind of drives your business?
Yeah, it's a great question. So it's we have what we call cyclical industries and then non-cyclical, or better yet, we say close to consumer or commodity. So we have industries that would be cyclical, would be oil and gas and chemical, also mining and metals. When we get into non-cyclical, would be more water, wastewater, life sciences, those kinds of markets that we tend to be more stable instead, food and beverage, stable and steady in. So we kind of got a mix, which is good to be diversified, because you're not quite so up and down with the market like it is. What drives, pretty much our markets is the same thing. GDP is 2/3 is, consumer driven. So a lot of the things that drive our markets, energy markets, drive that, really industrial production. So industrial production is the like a real lead indicator for us. As that starts to go up or go down, we will see our markets tend to follow some period of time later, either 3 to 12 months. So it's a broad-based market, but we can pretty much offset the swings in the market. Right now, business in 2024 has been tougher. After COVID, of course, COVID was down, but then after COVID was a boom. We were in a fortunate situation. We could deliver products when some of our competition had more struggles with supply chain. We were able to meet some of the demand, and we really grew the business. We doubled the business in those 3 years, and pretty impressive growth. This year is flat right now. But we see for 2025 and really the next probably 3 to 5 years, the window looks pretty bright right now.
Talk about the company's migration to Greenwood. I believe the company was founded in the 1950s, entered the U.S. market around 1970, I think, in Massachusetts. But it wasn't long after that, right, that you wound up in Greenwood. How did that all play out?
Yeah, it's a pretty interesting story. I'll tell the shortened version here for the podcast. But so we started in Beverly, Massachusetts in 1970. It's when the company was originally founded here. Gentleman that was leading the effort at that time, Mr. Lauren Puck, he was involved with the organization in Canada. George H. Endress, the original founder, was looking to find a permanent home for the company in the U.S. He wanted something more centrally located, and he wanted something with great transportation back and forth. And then also, which became really the predominant reason, was labor pool. So he looked in different places. He was on a lot of airplanes and happened to have a happenstance meeting on an airplane with then Lieutenant Governor Orr. And the Lieutenant Governor at that time said, you should come check out Indiana. He wasn't planning to do that, but he came to Indianapolis and ended up that Greenwood, the community of Greenwood, was looking to attract some businesses at that point in time. And the rest, as I said, is kind of history. We love the area here. I think the Midwest values fit well with the company's values because we're still a privately owned company today. So I think the work ethic, humility, being able to have a experienced workforce due to the automotive, so advanced manufacturing, and being able to have that type of talent available to the company was a big draw for doing that. And of course, Crossroads of America, right? So the whole transportation network was a big thing. So that's the shortened version. But that's what we came to be, and we were founded here in the 1974. So when we came to Greenwood.
A big assist to Bob Orr to get the company, and that's a great story. As you look at Greenwood, is an amazing story, and how dramatically, not just from a size standpoint, but quality of life and a number of things that have changed there. Talk about, you've been with the company for a number of years. You've seen a lot of that change. How would you describe Greenwood today versus maybe when you started with the company?
Yeah, so I've been with the company 30 years. This is my 30th year this year. Been here a long time, seen a lot of different things. I would say for sure today, Greenwood clearly was attractive to get us here, in 1974. But since then, it's been just more and more business friendly. The leadership from Mayor Mark Myers and the other folks here in Greenwood, very, very welcoming. They're very open to feedback. They want to listen to what the businesses need here. We've done a lot of work with talent and talent development in the local schools and community. The city's always been there for us to talk things through. They work with us on trying to even put some of we purchased a lot of lands here. And each time they were involved to help support that with the sellers of the property. We even had across the street, old abandoned cement plant that really was not very attractive when you were coming in our main entrance. They worked with us to utilize the facilities or the buildings of the cement plant down at Camp Atterbury to do some of their training and stuff with. So they've just been very pro-business and for E&H in general. Of course, the community, just the people, the amount of people, the talent that comes in, the schools and universities that are close by really make a difference for us to draw talent from. So it's just been, again, I think the value systems, the Midwest values, but Greenwood in general, just fits our company and who we are to a T that way. Yeah, Johnson County, very much a manufacturing intensive county, and you're a big part of that. And the growth that you have experienced in Johnson County really is phenomenal. I think it was last year you broke ground on a big expansion, $55 million expansion that includes a lot, I think, manufacturing, but also an innovation studio. Talk about that investment, because it is substantial, $55 million. Yeah, so that's it's underway. Walls are up. So we did a beam signing here these last couple of weeks. So we had all the employees go out and sign the beam. That'll be part of the structure in the facility. As you come in, you won't be able to see the beam, but it'll be right at the entrance as people come in. And we expect it to be finished up by summer of next year. So August timeframe of next year, we'll be moving in. What's all in there is we've got our solutions and projects business that are there. So as you mentioned, we'll be doing a lot of, there'll be inventory that'll be in there, but a lot of assembly for our solutions business, our skids, being able to do the quality assurance and factory acceptance testing that will be done there. The building is also going to house our representative in the area, the George Booth Company. They've been with us from the very, very beginning in the mid 70s. So right after we were founded, they're our longest standing rep agency in the United States. And so they'll be moving in with us. So roughly half of the building is the George Booth Company. And in that part of the building, they'll do valve assembly, valve repair, fabrication that they do in another location, but they'll be supporting that here out of the Greenwood facility. And then we have our HR teams, our legal teams, and then, as you mentioned, the innovation studio, which was a big effort to put that together here. But we're expanding the footprint to over 5,000 square foot, where we'll bring young students in. They can get a handle on doing robotics and doing experiments and even doing some programming. And it's really cool to watch those young kids get interested in STEM and get interested in what we're doing here in the manufacturing sector.
Yeah, fabulous story there in Johnson County. Before we go to break, and we want to talk after the break about talent attraction. I know you've been very actively engaged in that process there in Greenwood and Johnson County. But you mentioned you did a nice job describing what the company does from a measurement standpoint, instrument standpoint. To kind of boil it down to consumers and the products, and the things that maybe they come in contact with. What would be some of those things that consumers might be familiar with?
Yeah, so I always tell people that if you want to get to maybe see a little bit of Endress+Hauser, if you watch the Food Network or some of these How It's Made or some of these things on the History Channel, when they're doing discussion of chocolate or dairy or ice cream or pretty much any consumer food product, you will see many times or a lot of times Endress+Hauser equipment in the background. Sometimes they'll show a flow meter of ours or a level device of ours, but it's always kind of fun because my kids, when they were little, wanted to know what Dad did for a living, and we'd watch those programs and I'd point out where the kind of like, where's Waldo, where's the E&H in there. So we pretty much every food company you can think of, all life sciences, so all the COVID vaccines, all went through E&H equipment. All three of the major vaccine suppliers went through E&H. A lot of the chemical companies that you would recognize that either are direct consumer chemicals or a lot of the chemicals used to make parts for automotive and these kind of things. So automotive industry is a big part. And then oil and gas. So all of the oil and gas production, any of the big companies you would see from the upstream market where they're drilling the well, all the way to transportation midstream, all the way to refined products. So gasoline for cars, diesel for cars. And now, as I mentioned, we're doing a lot with natural gas. So any, CNG stations that would be there to power buses and public vehicles and these kind of things. And then the last sector would be water, wastewater, so municipal. So all the waste treatment facilities, all of the clean water applications, all of those things have E&H product with them.
Much more ahead with Todd Lucey from Endress+Hauser. We'll talk about talent. It's something that obviously every company in Indiana, large and small, is dealing with now. Really, companies all over the country, and Endress+Hauser has been very engaged, very involved in that talent initiatives. We'll talk about that and a lot more when the Business and Beyond podcast returns.
At PNC Bank, we're committed to making a difference in the lives of our customers and communities by helping them move forward financially. As a Main Street bank, we try to do right by our customers with every encounter. Our local teams offer personalized financial advice to help guide you in making the best decision. We're proud to be part of your community. PNC Bank. See how we can make a difference for you at pnc.com. Copyright 2022, the PNC Financial Services Group, Inc., all rights reserved.
And welcome back to the Business and Beyond podcast presented by PNC. My guest this week is Todd Lucey. Todd is the general manager at Endress+Hauser, USA, the USA headquarters of that global company located in Greenwood. It is an expanding location indeed, Todd. I want to know how you got how you got to Endress+Hauser, because you're a Gopher, right? Went to the University of Minnesota and are from Minnesota. How did you end up matriculating to Endress+Hauser?
Yeah, so it's how these things tend to work. It's people that you know and personal relationships. But I started my career with our competitor, our biggest competitor up in Minnesota. I joined them out of school in 1986. Chemical engineer, as you mentioned, from University of Minnesota. So a Golden Gopher, which puts the fear of God in every sports team that's there. So, but worked for that company for 7 years. I joined them right out of school. Joined actually 3 different roles there. Did proposals for the big control systems they did. And then I was in their industry marketing group for a while for food and beverage. And then I was a product manager for our hydrostatic tank aging product, which is more oil and gas related for the big tank farms. During that last position, I worked with a colleague of mine who was with a different division for that company. And he left that company and came to work at Endress+Hauser. And about a year after he was here, he gave me a call and said, "Hey, we're looking for a pressure product manager and wondered if you'd be interested in, taking a look at what Endress+Hauser is all about." To be honest with you, I had never heard of Endress+Hauser before. At that time, it was, I think, probably a $20 million company here in the U.S. And I would say what attracted me is, Indiana for sure was a great place to raise a family. So we were just starting with our family. But I would say it was the technology and being a privately owned company. So when this gentleman called me, I'd respected him working with him. And as they say, I decided to come down and join him down here and work with him again in this capacity. He's retired from the company now, but that's how I got my start and how I got to come to Central Indiana.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier that you've obviously been with the company for a while, and you've seen a lot of change in Greenwood. How important? We just recently did a story on the new sports park, $10 million sports park that has opened up there in Greenwood. How important are the changes that have taken place and continue to take place in Greenwood? How important are they to the company's growth and your ability to attract talent, to keep talent there? How important are those improvements?
Yeah, that goes hand in hand. I mean, I think being able to have a community that people, want to, raise families, bring people up, really attract. I mean, you think about everything that Greenwood has to offer. And then I would just say, being really close to Indianapolis and everything Indianapolis has done. I still remember when we first got here to Indiana, the downtown area wasn't the greatest. We had come from Minneapolis and I always felt Minneapolis a certain way, and we didn't have that feeling initially. But I can tell you, boy, within 5 to 7 years of being here, downtown, totally different, vibrant things to do. Of course, all the sporting activities, but theater, all things you can do here. Greenwood, then locally. Being able to be a great place to raise families. And so the sports park for sure. I mean, even being able to, have tournaments and other things where you've got people from other states and surrounding communities coming into Greenwood. And I would say that when we bring customers in, customers can feel it. I mean, they really talk about always a couple things. They talk about the cleanliness of our manufacturing, right? Advanced manufacturing and how clean and organized it is. But the second thing they always tell me is about the friendliness of the people and how happy the people seem to be, not only working at E&H, but doing what they do. And I think it's a difference maker. When we get customers here and they're on the edge deciding between us and another competitor, I can't think of maybe one time that the company or customer went a different direction than E&H. So it makes a big difference that way.
Yeah, when you talk about talent, obviously it's the lifeblood of any company, and specifically for you need that pipeline of STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math students. And I know, and I've always been impressed by Endress+Hauser's efforts, outreach, to not kind of sit back and wait, but to try to be proactive, which includes, I think, even getting into the high schools and the middle schools there in the area. Talk about that effort, why you do it, and how extensive it really is.
Yeah, I would say when we first started, intentionally thinking about talent pipeline, we probably, even in our wildest dreams, probably never envisioned what it is today. And I would say there's a number of key people along the way that made that happen. But our VP of HR, Brandon Ferguson, shared a vision. A key contributor along the way was we hired a former educator. She came in, Nicole Lottie's her name. The whole HR team is rallying around what we can do. And just to give you a few examples of the thing, every year we've done now, I think this will be our 10th year for our Community Career and Education Forum here in Greenwood, where we bring in local businesses, not just E&H, but other local companies here. They set up shop. We kind of do some tabletops, but we even bring equipment and set it up in the parking lot. And the whole idea is to get, middle school kids, high school kids, even some grade school kids coming in. But probably as important as the kids, it's the parents. It's also the educators. So all of the middle school and high school educators are coming in. They get to see what we're all about. We have our customer products sitting out. So you'll see, bottles of Coca-Cola and Pepsi-Cola. Stuff like that gets out there. But the idea is just what you said, get the kids interested early on in their career in STEM and advanced manufacturing. Which is another piece I'll touch on, but getting the kids interested, getting their parents interested to see, advanced manufacturing isn't this dirty, dark smokestack kind of stuff as people had probably envisioned, and they get to see what this is all about. And it just, I would say, gets people excited about looking at these opportunities. Of course, the universities are here, so they can kind of talk about what programs are available. We bring in people. We talk about starting salaries. We talk about what's the progression to earn a living with the company and these kind of things. So a lot of good things have come from that early development part. And then, of course, we heavily involved with all the schools and universities with internship programs, with co-op programs. We bring in, we're actually increasing the footprint on internships by another 50%. It's just been a great way for them to come in, test us out, and we get to test them out. But they deliver some great value on the projects when we have them in here. And really what we found is that working that closely together with the school systems, we really get to pick the best talent and to attract that best talent. So we become kind of a preferred, employer that way in the area. And it's our hit rates. I say hit rates on people have gone up. So our misses or turnover is much, much lower than it ever has. Satisfaction goes up. If the employees are happy with what they do, they'll make our customers happy, right? So it helps our customer satisfaction. I would say I always get asked the question, what's the thing that we can say makes us successful? You have to have products and all those things for sure, but it's the people, it's the talent pipeline. It's such a huge competitive advantage for us right now with the programs that we have. It's unbelievable. It's incredible what the team has built.
And as you look going forward in that battle for talent, and as I think about it, and Indiana is fortunate to be successful from an economic development standpoint in so many ways, but you look at those companies, the data centers and semiconductor plants, new energy, a lot of technical workforce is going to be needed. Does that make your ability to get those people, the competitive nature, that much tougher?
It for sure is. I would say it's paramount, right? We have to get the talent, and I say, the people with the best talent are going to win in the long run. Especially when you combine it with, who we are as a company and what, Central Indiana means. But that's the other thing too, when we talk about drawing businesses, the state and the Economic Development Corporation and the things that they've done to attract, as you mentioned, semiconductor and data centers and renewable natural gas. And I go on down the list, EV. It's a big thing to get the businesses here. Certainly Lily's in our backyard. So we got a lot of life sciences and that's all growing. So all of those people are going to need talent. And therefore, what we've tried to do is we want to work with all the businesses, because the more we can attract talent in general to the state, even if they end up at our customer sites or with us. But the idea is the more talent we can bring in, the more we can have the schools and universities supporting us in that effort. It really becomes a partnership between, the industry, the economic development, the school systems. I just think that makes, this location tough to beat when you're looking at where you're going to place a company or where you're going to get a new start. It's a great advantage to be, right here in this area.
Well, Endress+Hauser, you mentioned partnership. I know Endress+Hauser has been a key partner in so many things in Johnson County, in central Indiana. Todd Lucey, been a real treat to catch up with you again and learn a little bit more about what is going on, which is a lot. And I know we'll probably want to do something on that big expansion going on down there before too long as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Very, very glad to be here. Thanks for the time, Gary. As always, you do such a great job, and I always appreciate having the opportunity to speak with you.
All right. Thanks very much. Todd Lucey, the general manager at Endress+Hauser USA, headquarters down in Greenwood. And thank you for joining us on this episode of the Business and Beyond podcast, presented by PNC. It is a weekly conversation with achievers in business, sports, entertainment, and beyond. And you can catch every episode, nearly 200 episodes of the Business and Beyond podcast, and get Indiana business news 24/7. All you have to do is go to InsideIndianaBusiness.com. I'm Gary Dick. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.